Chapter 3: Discovery and Evolution. Today we are dependent on machine. We use one machine or another in our day-to-day work from morning to evening. The early man had no machines. He made tools from stone. In the beginning, these tools were simple, but after continuous efforts, he made sharp and pointed tools out of stone. He used these tools to hunt wild animals. Since man's first tools were made of stone, this period is called the Stone Age. Discovery of metals. Copper was the first metal to be discovered. The early man mixed it with tin and made bronze. He used copper and bronze to make tools, but the tools made from these metals were soft and could be bent easily. Later, iron was discovered as second metal. The discovery of iron was an important event in the life of the early man. It made him very powerful. Iron is a strong and durable metal. The early man used it to make tools like plows, sickles, and shovels for agricultural purpose. He cleared forests and turned them into farms. He also used iron to make weapons for hunting. It took millions of years for the early man to reach this stage. Since most of the tools were made of iron, this period came to be known as the Iron Age. Invention of the steam engine. Man's efforts to discover something continued. He wanted to discover something that could make his life comfortable. One such invention was of the steam engine by James Watt in 1769. This invention completely changed the life of human beings. It was also the beginning of the machine age. In the beginning, steam engine was used to pump out water from the coal mines in England. Later, it came to be used in every field. A British engineer, George Stephenson, invented a rail engine in 1814 by using steam power. He did so after 50 years of the inventions of steam engine. He named the engine Blucher. However, the first successful rail engine was made again by George Stephenson in 1829. He named it the Rocket. It acted later as a model for steam locomotives. George Stephenson's steam locomotive opened the door for the invention of petrol and diesel engines. These engines were used in motor cars, buses, jeeps, and even in ships and aeroplanes. They were also used to run big machines. Mass production. Machines helped people to produce goods in large quantities. This method of producing goods was called mass production. These goods were cheaper, more durable, and of better quality. The demand for the goods increased tremendously. This led to the beginning of the factory system. Industrial Revolution. Many big factories equipped with large machines were set up in the cities. People from villages started moving towards these cities to work in the factories. This significant change in the mode and quantity of production of goods during this period in Britain is known as the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution gave employment to many people. It also brought about modern technology. Sources of energy. To run machine, steam was used in the beginning by boiling water, which in turn needed fuel such as coal or wood. Coal. Perhaps coal was the first fuel used by man. Coal is found deep below the earth's surface. It is obtained through mining. Large amounts of coal are used in power plants to produce electricity. Unfortunately, we have only limited reserves of coal. It has been estimated that coal would last for only 250 years. So, man started searching for other sources of energy. Petroleum. The another powerful source of energy is petroleum. It was discovered in America in 1857. It is also found below the Earth's surface. Petroleum is refined to get fuels such as petrol, kerosene, and diesel. A German scientist, Gottlieb Daimler, invented an engine in 1885 which could run on petrol. 1 year later, in 1886, he made a four-wheeled car. Thus, the era of motor cars began. Later, another German scientist, Rudolf Diesel, invented an engine that could run on diesel. Since diesel is cheaper than petrol, it is widely used in heavy trucks, railway engines, and ships. Coal and petroleum are present in a limited quantity. They may get exhausted in about 100 years, so the search for other sources of energy is still going on. Electricity. Today, electricity has become the most important source of energy. It is produced in two ways. Firstly, by burning fuels such as coal, petrol, or natural gas, and secondly, from running water. Electricity produced from running water is called hydroelectricity. Big dams have been built on rivers to produce hydroelectricity. The discovery of electricity has an interesting story. Once a man in the Netherlands made a toy called Leyden jar. It had two wires, one in a glass jar and the other outside it. When he joined these wires together, they produced sparks. Sometimes they could give a mild shock. Such a shock would make a girl or a boy jump. People would laugh to see the girl or boy jumping. They began to call the jar the laughing jar. An American scientist, Benjamin Franklin, also heard about the unique jar. He concluded that the sparks produced in the jar and the lightning in the sky were similar. He wanted to prove it through an experiment. One day, he tied a silk thread to a kite and flew it high up in the sky. To one end of the thread, he had tied a metal key. The moment lightning flashed in the sky, he touched the metal key. He received a strong shock. Thus, Benjamin proved that the shock in the jar and lightning in the sky were similar. This is how electricity was discovered. In 1800, Alessandro Volta, an Italian scientist, made the first battery which could produce a small amount of electricity in a wire. Later, generators were developed to produce electricity. But these generators also need coal, petrol, or diesel to produce electricity. So, man's search for alternative sources of energy is still going on. Alternative sources of energy. Petroleum, coal, and natural gas are non-renewable sources of energy, and they are present in limited quantity in nature. So, scientists are trying to get energy from the sun, wind, water, tides, and earth. These are alternative or non-conventional sources of energy. These sources of energy are everlasting. They have an advantage over other sources in the sense that they do not pollute our environment. Points to remember. Copper was the first metal to be discovered by the early man. Coal, petroleum, and electricity are the main sources of energy. The invention of the steam engine changed the life of human beings. Mass production is the method of producing goods in larger quantities. The sun, wind, water, tides, and earth are alternative sources of energy.